to the podcast. We're reviving Discourse. I'm Alex. This is Don. Don, how's it going today?
It's going all right, Alex. Good to be back. Good to do another week.
Yeah, thanks for having me again after the fiasco of last time. I wasn't sure you were going to.
Oh, I had another person planned, but he ghosted me.
Yeah, we got ghosted. Yep.
That's okay.
Today, what we're going to be discussing is mental health and the ability or inability to talk about it. Really, crowd pleaser there, Don.
That's right. That's an interesting topic to think about, like how unacceptable it is to say to someone else that you're having brain issues that you can't help. You're just like expected to control them.
Yep. Yeah, mental health is a sticky situation. I think that. Do you have any more opening thoughts that you want to lead with?
So you take a problem that you have, like let's say you have severe anxiety, or no, depression is actually an easier one to talk about. Like there's a lot of people who don't understand what depression is, for instance, and if someone were to say that they're feeling really depressed today and they're finding a hard time getting out of their house, someone else would like try to like get them out of the funk, which is a nice thing to do, right? But it's also, people don't really understand what it is, and they'll say like just get over it is a word that I've heard, or a phrase I've heard a lot with any mental illness. It's so hard to talk about because a lack of understanding, especially with certain groups of people. Have you ever heard the phrase suck it up or just man up?
I've heard that. Yeah.
It's really harmful that people can't really talk about those sort of subjects or problems that they have with themselves.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the problems are that when it comes to society, how do we interact with mental illness? There's either A, we don't talk about it like you mentioned, or B, there's movies like Silver Linings Playbook. You ever seen that movie?
I've not, actually. I've heard of it though.
There's a lot of movies, Rain Man, that kind of glorify mental illness in a way. I think that they only show the good parts of, I think they kind of like glamorize it. And that when reality is like, oh no, this guy isn't, Monk. You ever seen the television program?
I have
Monk?
seen Monk. Yes.
It's about a mentally ill detective. He suffers from obsessive compulsive disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't seen it, it's all right. But that's not my point. My point is that it's like you don't ever get uncomfortable watching Monk. That would defeat the purpose of the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't see that he can't leave the house today.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that dark side of it. And that when people actually see that dark side, they're like, this isn't quirky at all. And they get really weirded out. And that's why they don't want to talk about it sometimes.
I've grown up around mental illness, and I've been around it all my life, like with the people who I care a lot about in my life. So I know how like to deal with it. Sometimes like people just have like really bad days. Like there's no mental illness that you know what's going to happen day by day. It's kind of like you wake up and, well, here's what my day is going to be like. And it's really sad. That's why I recommend therapy for every single person, like to go talk to a therapist at least once ever and like talk about your stuff. A lot of people have seen Rick and Morty, and the episode with Pickle Rick is like infamous with people screaming in McDonald's. But the other side of the episode about therapy, the part that actually like won an Oscar or whatever it won, I don't remember it definitely won a big prize. But the therapist says therapy isn't something that you do because you have a problem. Therapy is like to quote the show, like wiping your ass. It's something that you need to do because it's part of your life and it's how you keep your brain clean. And I thought that was a great metaphor because I went to therapy with my girlfriend for the first time a couple years ago, and oh my gosh, the things that I didn't know I were wrong with myself that I learned just by talking about my life with other people. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've done therapy, in and out of therapy over the course of my entire life. And I think that the values that it has are kind of unsung in our society, especially like your inner dialogue that you have just with yourself.
Yeah.
Some people, some people actually are like living in fear of the internal dialogues that they have.
Oh,
Like
really?
they're actually hurting because of the things that are happening inside of their brain.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think
Okay.
that but if you call that like a mental illness, even if you call it that, then it can't be talked about because then you're not okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? So people being able to hear that you can like correct the course of your thought patterns, it's like a physical muscle. You can practice with it and you can change the way that it works. It's not you aren't defined by it.
That's another thing with just your thoughts in general. Like, you know how if you live your whole life doing something one way without ever talking to somebody else about the way you do it, you might either assume everybody does it that way, or nobody does it like this besides you. And then you actually talk to somebody about it and they're like, "Oh no, you're just doing that a little wrong. Here, do it this way instead and you'll stop having terrible nightmares," or something like that. I'm oversimplifying it, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think I see where you're coming from. Like the fear that it instills in people because of the stigma
Mhm.
makes it this big boogeyman that you can't really come to terms with. You can't even try to fight it. If you like fighting it is admitting that it's there.
Right.
So you can't do that. I
Yeah,
think that's
I think that goes with all medical issues though. Like, people are scared to get the diagnosis more so than actually having the illness. I think, like, a lot of people don't get checked for they don't get a physical because they're scared to see that they have something wrong with them. And it's sad that we live in that sort of society today. I think it's getting better every decade or so. Like, the used to, hundreds of years ago, people were just called simple and put in a place to work for the rest of their life. So
yeah.
we've definitely made some strides then from there. Hey,
Yeah.
what's up, Romwin?
Hi Romwin. Yeah. I think it goes without saying we've come a long way, but I think that especially have we though? Dun dun dun.
Ooh,
In terms of mental illness and how people interact with, yes, you know where I'm going, streamers, the police interacting with mental illness.
ooh,
I
oh,
could, I think that we're still in the dark ages there
really?
quite a bit. I would hazard a guess at such. Don't you think?
What do you mean? Extrapolate for me.
Well, one of the most famous examples that I can think of is that there was a large autistic man who was outside of like a daycare center for autistic people, and the policemen were holding a gun on him because it appeared he was holding something
Okay,
and he was behaving oddly.
right,
And so he was aiming the gun at him. His trainer comes out there, his handler, his person that hangs out with him to help him,
right.
runs out there and puts his hands up and lays on the ground. The policeman shot him while he was laying on the ground.
No way.
And he goes, "Why did you shoot me?" And the policeman didn't. I think he said, "I don't know."
Uh,
I don't think I'm even exaggerating. That's the sad part. So that interaction with mentally ill people is right off the bat. That's my prime example. There's
did
thousands more though that don't get talked about. Especially like think about if it's a mentally ill person with a knife. You have no sympathy for that person, right?
not if like they're putting me in danger now.
Exactly. If they're putting you in danger, if they're putting a police officer in danger, the only way they have to interact with them is to murder them. And how do you square that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
How
There,
do you square that? That's still the dark ages,
I think
man.
I think like working with non-lethal weapons, like stun guns and um, mace and whatnot. I think there's ways to do that, and I think they're being looked at all the time.
Not yeah, there's not really an effective one yet. I
Yeah,
hope they're looking.
it's hard to subdue someone without putting yourself in danger, and while also not killing that person.
Yeah.
It's really hard. So we like you don't want to have a police officer ever say their life is more important than yours. So if they're pointing a gun at you, try to shoot them with the stun gun first and hope they don't blow your face off. You can't do that. So you have to come across it at a different angle. And then if you go too far, you have places like China where the police will just beat you if you say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard to find a balance
And
for it.
A large problem, this is off on a little bit of a tangent, but a large problem that they would have in our country is that we're allowed to carry weapons. I was reading, when I've done a lot of research on police brutality and like needless shootings and things like that, a lot of the problem is our rights as Americans to be able to carry guns. You're always trained that people might have a gun on them. It's a common practice to have a gun in America.
I read a story, or not a story, like a blog post about someone who lives in the UK, and they came to the United States for holiday, and they got pulled over by a cop. And I don't know how accurate this is. I'm just reading it from there. Apparently, it's normal for them to get out of their car and walk up to the police car.
Don't do that.
And hand them their information. However, in the United States, you will get thrown onto the ground very quickly for doing something like that.
Yeah. Don't even open your door. That gives them permission to search your car.
Is that true?
If you did, yeah, once you break that seal.
Interesting.
I had a friend like narrowly avoid getting a felony charge that way because one of his mom's prescription pills was on the floor of his car.
Ugh.
And he was really nervous. I think he was probably stoned on illegal drugs at the time. So he opened his door, and the policeman like pulled his gun out and pointed it at him and told him to stop.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. That's a good example to bring it back around. I think that person, that like there's this incapacitated person just opening their door because they're confused, right? And you don't feel bad for that person because they're on drugs, probably.
Well, I mean,
that person that will remain nameless. But what about a legitimately mentally ill person?
Well, I mean, even if it was just a person who was high, I mean, I don't think they should have been driving while under the influence to begin with. But like, I don't think they deserve to die for it if they're not putting someone else's life in danger immediately. I mean, the car stopped right then. They're putting someone else's life in danger while they're moving it, though, while being high. So it's hard. It's really hard to think like I think we should have better processes for interacting with law enforcement officers to begin with. Because, like, you don't know. Nobody teaches you how to deal with a police officer. It's just, it's happening now. Just listen to what they say and hope they do the right thing, too.
Yeah. Well, in inner city schools, they're having courses where they teach people how to interact with police just because of the amount of brutality that's now coming to the surface, I want to say. I don't want to say it's happening now because it's been happening. It's just that more and more videos are popping up because of the technology that's available.
Okay.
I think that it's been an ongoing issue. But back to mental health. So mentally ill person attacks a police officer, gets shot to death. It depends on whether or not the police officer's life was in danger or not, right?
Right.
Okay. And we both agree there.
Yeah, absolutely. Or someone else's life to really mental illness in general is making big strides, and I love that it's now becoming more and more accepted to like open up and like say if someone's like just seems like they're being a jerk or they have a bad process or something, and then they say no, it's I can't help it, I have a attention deficit disorder, so I'm not really trying to ignore you, it's just really hard for me to focus. Something like that. Like it's okay. It's getting more and more okay to talk about that, but like there's still a wall of stigma. I can go to the extreme and talk about pedophilia, where like that's like one of the most taboo mental illnesses out there. Like if you talk about that and you admit that you are one, then like you immediately get like huge red flags from everybody around you, because that's like the worst thing a person can be is a pedophile.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a specific. You would define it as an illness then.
Oh, absolutely.
You would define that as an illness. Okay.
Would it not
Just
be?
making sure. I mean, it's like a weird genetic defect, I think.
Well, that would be an illness.
Yeah, that would be an illness. Okay, so we're in agreement. So I just wanted to make sure that. I mean, I would argue that it's 100% an illness. Then we're on the same page as to what an illness would be defined as. So. In light of that, it's a predatory illness. It's one that makes you want to go out and bother other people. It's
yes.
And that's a very specific type of I don't know what you would I think I don't want to pull up an article because I'll crash everything in the tri-state area with my potato computer. But we should be able to look up like if that like your symptoms of your mental illness push you past a certain point where you're actively bothering other people, it's a different definition. I
I
don't
see
know
what
if
you
it's
mean.
yeah, I don't know if it's like psychosis or personality disorder or
Yeah.
something, but there's ones that are specifically always going to be stigma. It's not. Is it a stigma if it's true? Is the question.
Well, what stigma would mean is like it like the inability to communicate to another person about it without getting like negative results.
Uh-huh.
I would say I could look up the actual definition for stigma. That's what I'm going off of. Let's see. Stigma. A mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. So yeah, what I said is pretty close to that.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just like that thing. There's no correct stigma or incorrect stigma. In like, do you have an opinion towards? We'll go ahead and open a can of worms and say and talk about like the pedophilia. Do you think there's people who think that pedophiles should be separated from society, like entirely, or even outright just murdered?
I mean, I don't know. That's a really hard to discuss subject.
It
I think
is.
that that's. I think that criminal. It's criminal to act on something that would endanger a child or like mess them up forever. You know.
There's a person on a website who was sharing his story. He is a pedophile, and he had never hurt anybody, but he did have like digital media of cartoon characters that were underage, and or well depicted as underage, and he went to therapy. He went to a therapist and he talked to his therapist about it, and his therapist told the police, and the police seized his computer, and
Jeez.
then he got convicted for possession of child pornography. This is in the UK, so like he doesn't have the as much privacy rights as we do in the United States. So like that process was entirely legal, whereas in the United States that wouldn't really be possible. But that in and of itself, where like he went out looking for help for a problem that he had, and then instead I think he ended up with like 3 years of probation and like thousands of dollars in court fees.
Yeah, that's a bad lot to get. I mean, I don't know how to cope with that, especially since he tried to get help for it and got in trouble in the
Yep. But
system.
it's super discouraging for people who legitimately want to get help for their feelings.
I think that a lot of this would be like the left would be responsible for this. This is going pretty badly.
What'd you say?
Let me square my thoughts with you real quick. So if there's like a sexual identity, a thing that exists called a sexual identity in your brain, right?
Uh-huh.
And whatever you are predisposed to like is you, and that's your identity. And people identify as their sexual identity,
right?
Then your only option as a pedophile is probably to kill yourself, right? That's you.
Or just be celibate your entire life.
If you try to say anything like, no, your sexual identity isn't you, they're going to jump to the conclusion, oh, okay, so you're one of those, what's it called, Christians that believes the Old Testament still and weird stuff like that. What's it called? I can't think of the word. Fundamentalist. You're one of these fundamentalist people that is going to try to like pray the gay away for people because their identity is them. Their sexual identity, I should say, is them.
And
do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, and like it's wrong to try to force that away from somebody. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, according to this new sociological landscape that we're in 2019, absolutely.
Interesting. Oh yeah, that I've seen situations where openly outward pedophiles are like trying to identify with the LGBTQ movement. and trying to latch on to that and like saying that like, hey, we're a sexuality too, and it's okay. And
It's not.
it's not. It's not.
It
And
can't be.
it's not. Please stop. Please stop it.
It will never be okay. And the sad part is, everybody knows this. You know, Dane Cook has a great bit about like, yeah, everyone had some trusted adult that just went like this to them, right? Just fiddled with their parts, you know.
No.
And it's just like, yeah, no, it's weird to talk about. It's that stigma again. But we all know for sure that if you're a grown up that like has desires to do that to smaller people, then you're messing up people forever. That's
absolutely.
That's a very special crime. That's one of the worst.
I've been very close
Might be the worst
to at least 3 people who were abused like that as a child, and it stays with you forever. It never goes away, and it's very sad.
You want to talk about your identity being jeopardized? Let's talk about that, because you're jeopardizing people's identity if you're out there assaulting people. No, you can't sit with us, pedophiles. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, can we separate the people who have actually hurt people and the people who have not? That's a big question.
I don't know. I would be constantly afraid that I made a mistake and got some other innocent people hurt.
That's the whole question. Like, you think that just because they're attracted to children, they're going to like. It's the same exact argument as like gun ownership. You know, like just because someone has a gun, that means they're more likely to shoot you. And it's a slippery slope to talk about.
It's technically true, though. Technically true. You can't get shot by someone that doesn't have a gun.
That's very true.
There's this weird graph that gets made whenever people argue like that, and it's really fun, and it looks good, but it doesn't help us solve the problem. Am I way off base here? What's going on? I think the camera. I meant not my topics. No. My topics are grand.
Yeah, your topics are always on.
Alexander.
No, I accidentally moved away your camera, but I fixed it.
Oh, okay.
I'm pulling up.
I'm back, baby.
Welcome back. Ooh. Okay, so here is a I found I was given a political spectrum test. We were requested to do to see where exactly we fall into.
Weird segue. Okay.
So here, I can't figure out how to. Dang it! I clicked the wrong window again. On.
Ah! Oh, my head.
Okay. Sorry about that. So, which?
You got me.
So, Romwin, how did the speaker one? I can't figure out how to get to the questionnaire.
Oh, so you're talking about a questionnaire that tells you what political stances you have and like where you land on the spectrum?
You answer some questions, which will also give our viewers scroll down.
Yeah, that'll be fun. This sounds grand.
But I scrolled all the way down, and oh wait, is it? That I can't figure it out. I don't think I'm smart enough to do that.
Horrible soundbite time.
Oh, is it this? The you might be interested in part? Okay. No, this is.
Have you taken this test, young Don?
I've not seen it before. Each. Okay, here it is. I found it. It's made in a way that it was hard to see.
All right, we're getting feedback. It's adorable.
Thank you.
Not to distract.
What's up, Omens?
Omens.
You know who that is?
Is it a royal?
No, it is not. He actually hasn't responded. It is our good friend Mr. TSE.
Oh, hello. Hello. All right, so you got that test ready? Ask me the questions.
Well, it says each individual get spec'd on the political. Whoa! Hey, look at this. What's up? What's up, Piston Jack?
We got a piston in here. He's a piston, ladies and gentlemen.
Put it on the screen. Okay, I'll put it on the screen.
Put it on the screen.
Hold on. Here it is. Right here.
All right. Read it to me. My old eyes can't take it.
Here, 1 second. I could actually just put it like right behind us and make it a little bit neater.
Oh, cool.
All right. Here we go. How's that?
Not bad.
Okay. So it's on the screen now, and here's what we see. Like, I can scroll down a little bit and see what's behind us. So I can click on this, but I can't. So this is strongly agree and strongly disagree, I'm assuming. But here's the next button. Okay, I figured it out. I smarted a little bit. Let me like.
You gotta be smarter than the test. You gotta be smarter than the compass.
Okay, so here we go. So
all right.
I'll open up 2 windows, one side by side. So one for me, one for you. So, and then let me move this window a little bit up. So this one will be your graph.
Okay.
And then this one, mine. Something like. Sorry, our producer is not here today, so I'm.
Our producer is ghosting us.
Yeah,
do not sugarcoat it. He has been missing in action for 2.5 hours.
Sad. It's all
he
right,
didn't come to dress rehearsal. He won't return any of my personal emails.
All right, so here's one for you, and then I'll add another one.
On the spectrum. Speaking of mental illness. Hey-oh! Sorry.
From 2, and then... God, which one's...
God, we need a producer. Yeah, anyone listening out there,
please produce for us.
Produce. Let's get it. Let's get the ball rolling here.
Almost. Oh, God.
Send it to back.
Hold on. It's not. Oh gosh. I think I can do it. The issue is that they're both the same title of webpage.
Okay.
All right, so there's that. We got this is a different political compass test that was also sent to me. And then now for this one, properties, change it to.
I'm gonna make this full screen so I can see you guys.
I did it. Okay. Boom. All right, one for me.
Yay.
The one for the on this one is for me. Let me push it down a little bit. There we go. So there we go. Perfect. So we're side by side now. Boom.
All right. First question. What do we got?
Well, we got not perfect. Oh, there we go. Now we're good and aligned. First question is: each individual enjoys a bodily autonomy and have rights that no other individual or group may violate. So I'm assuming what that means is like every person has the right to do what they want with their own body.
They have the chance to make their own decisions. Yeah, I would say that's true. I'm gonna go out on a limb. Say that's true.
What if we were talking about like the most extreme I can think of is abortion?
That person has rights too. That little person, that little tiny one, right?
Right. So it's hard to say. I'd think I'd mostly agree, except for like it's a gray area with the right for a unborn child to the mother to abort it.
Okay. I'm gonna go full crazy here and just explain that if there is legal abortion, you cannot charge someone child support. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all. That's my 2 cents on the subject.
Is it?
And I'm not even gonna delve any deeper. How about that?
Where do you go? Okay. So where do you fall on this agree or disagree here?
I strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Okay. Yeah. I somewhat agree. Next question. Individuals have the freedom to decide what they knowingly and voluntarily consume. Abso-fucking-lutely. What?
Yeah.
That's not have
to.
Do people disagree with that? Individual.
Try
let me read
not
that again.
Consuming. See how long you live. You know.
So let me read this again because maybe I'm not understanding this. I think everyone should agree with this. individuals have the freedom to decide what they knowingly and voluntarily consume. So like what they eat, what they drink, what medicines they take, what they watch on media. Is that what they're saying? Yeah. What?
Yeah. Highlight my bubble. Yeah.
Okay. Is this milk?
What else do we got?
Okay, slavery is acceptable in certain circumstances, such as punishment for a crime. Whoa!
No, do not do it. Stop doing it right now.
So you strongly agree that it's acceptable, right?
No, do not. Do not. The prison system is so messed up. Oh, God.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what they're describing right there. They're describing laborers because of their morals, and that's.
I don't even think we need to talk more about that. How do you think slavery is okay in any situation?
Well, if they're a bad enough person, you can just take them to your work for you. It's like, really? I mean, that you can't start thinking like that.
Yeah.
If you start thinking like that, we know what happens. That's a culture.
That's exactly what was thought like 200 years ago. Is like certain people weren't as good as other certain people, so you can make them slaves.
All right. Yes. All right. We're very smart. Let's move along here. Yeah. What else do we got?
Okay. Freedom of expression should be unhindered by government, regardless of the content. Correct. Strongly agree. Next question. All right. What do you have to say?
Next question. You think that what about those classic Fred Phelps folks?
Who?
Those Church of Westboro Baptists. You know,
let them say whatever the hell they want. Let them protest whatever the hell they want.
You would let them do that?
I would let them do that as long as they're like not actively disturbing other people.
What about advocating a crime, Donald? What about advocating a crime, sir?
Like saying it's okay that 9/11 happened? Would that count?
No, that's a crime that already happened.
Advocating a crime that's going to happen?
Yeah, being like
I'd like to step back a little bit and say that I don't think 9/11 was okay. I was just using
soundbite.
So saying like give me an example one more time.
Like if there was a program on television that's like showed a gang of kids doing gang related activities, and then at the end of it was like, come down and join our gang in real life.
Well, I mean, conspiracy to commit a crime isn't free speech.
How do you what?
It isn't. I should say it isn't covered under free speech. So,
is it not?
So, actually committing a crime is not
advocating. No,
is not an
like
expression.
People, you should be mad enough to commit a crime right now, sir. Like, what about that? Am I being too antagonistic?
No, this is perfect.
Okay.
I don't think that's what this question is asking. I think freedom of expression doesn't fall under conspiracy to commit a crime.
Well, that's convenient. Put me right in the middle.
Okay, all right.
Put me right in the middle on that one. I'm on the fence as a mug about that.
Okay. Hate speech should be banned. Ooh.
See? Oh, and now it's on.
So here's the real question. Here's what you were going for. Yeah, I think Omens is right. Threatening versus expressing opinion. I think that's what the question is asking.
Okay, here we go.
Hate speech should be banned.
Speech? Well, I don't like that there's a person who's going to pick what hate speech is.
That's my fallacy there. Who decides what is and is not hate speech? I think like my definition of hate speech.
Jack said that too.
Yeah, exactly. My definition of hate speech, yes, it should be banned. However, Joe Biden's definition of hate speech, or Jackie445 on Twitter, her definition of hate speech, I might not agree with that. So should it be banned? I say based off of what the question is, how the question is worded, I'll say no. I don't think it should be banned. Should it be banned based off of like people should not have a platform to say racist or hateful things? I think not really. No,
I'm going to go ahead and stick to my guns and say that it should probably be banned.
Should probably or should
Because
definitely?
one to the left of middle,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Okay.
Because I don't want someone to squeak through my filter 20 years from now and they'll say, Alex, let this happen. He filled out that questionnaire.
All right. Next question is: the control of communications by government is necessary. Oh my god. No, I didn't even need to finish the question. But anyway, so as to prevent the spread of ideas that may undermine the stability of the nation. Fuck no.
Thumbs down that mug. That's awful.
Well,
what are you even talking about?
That goes with the same question as last time. Who gets to filter this shit? And I don't think and filter communication. So I can't tell my grandma that I specifically don't like the way Zuckerberg runs his website, and then all of a sudden the police are on my door.
Yeah.
Better dead than red. I live by that.
Yeah.
Provision of the internet should be socialized and made available free of charge. No. What? I don't want to pay for people's internet.
What? Are you foolhardy? Where do you work? The internet.
I don't want to pay for the person next door to me who hasn't had a job in 3 years because he doesn't feel like it, just so that they could have internet.
It's so easy. It's so easy. It's like a penny.
It's like a penny.
Will you just
What?
give us 1 penny? It's so easy. They already doing it. It doesn't matter. It's gonna be free for everyone.
What? Huh?
It is. It just is.
It just is.
I mean, yeah. You really don't think that that's like they've already tried a couple things. They tried how'd the rollout of the Google thing go? You know,
That's
the
a
Google
failure.
Drones. It was a failure.
Oh yeah, way too expensive, not feasible.
How do you have these articles queued up in your brain?
I've researched that. Like Google Fiber was a canceled project.
Well, that just means that there's going to be someone doing it, right? Elon Musk will probably do it. I think that it should definitely be, because think about it. That's all the information in the world.
Oh man, the sun's going down and our green screens are fading.
Oh no! Hold on, let me try to. Oh no! Hold up. No.
Anywho, I strongly disagree. I think he agrees with me that you should not make it free of charge. I think that's what he said.
Oh, it's so bright.
Now you're bright.
I'm done. Now I'm green. Oh god, this is.
Oh wait, I think I can fix that. Hold on. Hold still. Hold
Fix
still.
it for me,
Hold perfectly still. Don't move at all. You're moving. Oopsie. Filters. Chroma key. Turn it off for a second. Select color. It's a pick screen color. Pick that one. Hit OK. Turn it back on.
Oh.
Nah, wait. I can fix this.
Take on me.
That's a little bit better. Oh my gosh, no, it's not.
Okay. All right. I think we definitely disagree right there. So,
okay, 100%.
Hard
So
fork in the road.
You strongly agree with it then, huh?
Read it to me one more time. I got
provision of the internet should be socialized and made available free of charge. So you are paying for the people living under you's internet if they do not have a job.
Yeah, I probably did that on accident when I took my change out of my pockets this morning. It's fine. Just take the dollar or whatever and put a drone in this guy so everyone can get a job application in.
Go to the library.
Go to the library. I'm just kidding. Next question, please.
Okay.
You defeated me with your library gambit. Curse. No. Go to the like a caveman. I sound so entitled right now. Go to the next question. I'm sticking by it though.
Okay. All right. Your dot's going to the left. Mine's going to the right.
It is.
People should be free to engage or abstain from religious activities that do not violate the rights of others. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Huh? You're not bothering anybody? Oh.
That's easy.
You know, female circumcision is still a thing in some countries.
Oh, the baby doesn't have the choice though.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think that does.
Circumcision's happening now. It's horrible.
Oh, absolutely. It's true.
horrifying.
People should be free to engage or abstain from religious activities that do not violate the rights of others. If the question specifically means like the rights of others count as yourself, like yourself, and then but not your children,
Okay.
then sure.
Yeah.
Then I'd
Yeah,
agree
me
with that.
too. I'd agree all the way.
Same.
Yeah.
Blasphemy laws should be reinstated.
Blasphemy? I barely know for me.
Okay, let's look up the definition of blasphemy real quick.
It's a desecration of God's name, I think.
Okay, we'll go with that. I don't want to bring it up on this because it's not safe for me to open a new tab. It's not. It probably won't be PG-13. So
blasphemy would also be like saying that you're God too, depending on what religion you have. So that's a dumb question.
I think this is like this question is 300 years too old.
Yeah.
So I strongly
Let's
disagree.
get that out of here.
Okay. Government action should neither aid nor attack any religion. From when blasphemy laws is like the church and state. Right. Government action should neither aid nor attack any religion. Yeah, I think the separation of church and state is super important. Did you know churches still get huge tax breaks? Like I don't believe that, like they pay significantly less taxes than any other nonprofit business.
Well, churches aren't supposed to be televised, you know. Churches aren't supposed to be this huge institution that they have become.
Right, yeah.
That's the when I think that when they made those, they had their intentions right, but then like some really bad people like Joel Osteen are like ruining it for everyone.
Yeah.
With how I think that's very dangerous. Also, he preaches prosperity gospel, which if you guys don't know, that's not actually canon in Christianity.
Oh.
He just takes verses from the Bible that support you donating money and explains that is how you become rich by donating money to the church. Yeah, that's basically prosperity gospel in a nutshell. I'm sure there's some prosperity gospel enthusiasts right now that just turned off the stream. But
well, there goes half of our viewers.
That was our target demographic.
Oh man. So where do you fall on that? I strongly agree that government action should neither aid nor attack.
I agree all the way. That's easy.
Religious organizations should not be exempt from taxation. What did I just say?
Religious organizations should not be exempt from taxation?
I agree with that.
Ooh.
You think churches shouldn't be taxed?
I think that if the churches were acting right, then they shouldn't be taxed. Because especially, okay, here's my thing on it. If the government were responsible for like welfare of people, like poor people, then I would say go ahead and tax the church. But I think the church has a station in society that helps poor people if it's doing this right thing. If it's not Joel Osteen, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I think there's actual churches that help people.
Like the churches
they're literally just putting money back in the community.
The churches who help the homeless, for instance?
Yeah.
Good question.
I think that's an actual thing. I'm not one of those hardcore people that's like no church at all. I mean, I think that there's something that it does for people that's good, and I can't explain it, really.
I see what you mean. I think it should be taken on a case-by-case basis. I think the profits, if a church is profiting, then yes, they should get taxed. Otherwise, then maybe lesser than.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Like, how are you having money left over? The church.
I'm gonna quote Piston Jack 360. Joel Osteen is just Tim Allen on Sundays. All right, so where do you fall on this? I strongly agree that they should not be. What do you say?
I'm gonna sit exactly in the middle.
Okay.
Since I'm.
You have nothing to fear if you have nothing to hide is a valid statement. Fuck no! Get off of my property. I will hold my shotgun up to you until you walk away.
Nothing to hide.
Right. So if a cop comes up to you and says, "Hey, let me search your car," and then you say no, and he says, "You have nothing to worry about if you got nothing in there. Just let me look." Fuck you.
No. Why would the cop need to know about my explosive diarrhea medication?
Exactly.
It's none of his business.
I think we agree on that because it has something to do with telling no to police officers.
Yeah. We're regular. We're regular. Well, I don't want to say any jokes. Never mind. My God. What golden illumination.
Hold on. Let me...
It's fine.
Okay.
What else do we got? What else do we got?
We got government transparency is vital to ensuring accountability. Yes. Let me know what the government is doing. Stop hiding.
Where's my receipt? Right?
Exactly. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? What are you
receipt.
spending my $200 or $100 a week on?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I don't think we get enough government transparency at all. Like it. I think
attempting to would be impossible.
I think the most transparent we get.
Convoluted it is.
I think the most transparent we get from our government is Donald Trump on Twitter.
Bruh.
Hot take. Only half thought through. Let's go.
Hot take. That's a hot take. Yeah, no, but we've learned really quickly his tweets don't reflect on what's happening, right? Like he said things and then redacted them repeatedly on Twitter. Isn't that a common thread?
I don't think we know enough about the information to talk about this.
Yeah, me neither. Let's get back to the test.
Government surveillance should be expanded to combat terrorism.
Government surveillance. No.
I'm gonna go with
it's not feasible anyway.
I'm gonna go with the Benjamin Franklin quote. Those who sacrifice liberty for security are fools and deserve neither.
He loves quoting Benjamin Franklin.
I love that quote so much.
Yeah.
You strongly disagree as well, though?
Yeah, I strongly disagree as well. I'm on the same boat.
People should be secure in their persons, home, property, and communications.
Yep. Easy money.
Can you explain that one to me in dumb people talk?
Well, you should it's just like if the policeman came to your house.
You cut out. Say that again.
It's just like if the policeman came to your house instead of your car and said, "Hey, can I search your stuff?" What possessions do you have? What do you do?
Okay.
Does the state get to know all that? No.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. In order to solve crimes, the police need the power to conduct searches and seizures without consent or warrants. No. What?
Stop. Stop trying to make police happen, Tess.
Do people really think this?
I don't know. Cops probably.
Sexual orientation, preference, gender, or gender identity should have no impact on the government's treatment of individuals. Yeah.
Yeah, that should probably be stated.
Yeah.
Somewhere. I mean, what about your ultimate example, though? Of pedophilia. If you lump that in.
Well, I don't think pedophiles should be thrown in jail or shot in the street just for existing.
Yeah.
For committing is a different question entirely, but for existing, no. Do you strongly agree? I do.
Yeah, I agree. Don't worry about that, government.
Government should have the authority to define, license, or restrict personal relationships is what I cut myself off of because I was so... No. What?
No way.
Next question. Consenting adults should be free to choose their own sexual practices and personal relationships. Yes.
Yeah, consenting adults. Absolutely. These are easy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pass this test.
Oh. Stream just died for a second.
The stream died?
For a second. That was weird. Okay, hopefully that doesn't happen anymore. I have historical issues with internet and Twitch, so hopefully it stays okay. Sorry about that. Access to abortion should be regulated by the government.
Access to abortion should be regulated by the government?
You're back? Okay.
Oh, good. Cool. You guys missed all the best stuff.
No, they didn't. It was like 3 seconds. Access to abortion should be regulated by the government.
What?
I somewhat disagree, and I'll tell you why I don't strongly disagree. I think, in medical reasons, yes. But that's the only situation. If someone were to die if they didn't get this abortion, then yes, I think the government should assist with that. But in any other circumstance, I don't agree with.
I'm glad that they phrased it the way that they did. Read that again.
Access to abortion should be regulated by the government.
I'm going to go with absolutely not. Because regulation means that they can say whether or not it's allowed.
Yeah.
And then I will just be perfectly gray without having to come down on either side of the issue. Wha-bam, paycheck, please.
Criminal laws should be limited to violation of the rights of others through force or fraud. Let me read that again because I just read it without thinking about it. Criminal laws should be limited to violation of the rights of others through force or fraud. Interesting.
Yes, that's what I was thinking about with the penal system the other day. Was that there should be a special kind of crime where you go out and bother someone else, and that's the kind of crime that you can get 5 or 10 years in jail for. If you're doing a crime that's like you only bothering you,
there we go.
That should be a different kind of crime.
I agree.
That should be rehabilitation. Maybe.
I agree somewhat. I'm gonna have to actually strongly agree if I can't think of an example. Yeah, I got nothing. I can't think of anything that someone could do that, like a victimless crime where you're the only like, let's say
selling crack to inner city youths.
That the inner city youths that are victims, but possessing crack that you bought as an inner city youth,
that should be a different one, right?
Yeah, that should be a totally different crime. Like it shouldn't be a crime. It should be like, this person needs help, get them help.
Littering. Oh, that's
littering.
I think littering bothers dolphins.
Littering. There is a victim to littering. Have you ever looked outside your or like gone somewhere and just seen trash on the ground? It's disgusting. I hate it.
Yeah.
People should stop throwing their cigarette butts on the ground.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well,
snort coke. Okay. Snort coke and shoot someone. Crime.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I somewhat agree because I think that there's some victimless crimes that maybe should be persecuted, but there's a lot that should not be.
Yeah.
What do you fall under?
I'm gonna go all the way to the right on that one. To the left, I mean. Okay. I agree wholeheartedly. Right.
Okay, so the littering argument is it doesn't endanger your life unless it's on private. Well, life endangering, like it's not life endangering if I walk up and punch you on the arm when you don't want me to. But like it's definitely shouldn't be legal for me to just walk up and punch you on the arm because I want to. It's not about life endangering, it's about is someone going to be made. Does someone have the right to not have that happen to them? Is I think the correct argument to have.
Huh, that's interesting. Users allow pushers to continue, though. So they're kind of enabling a pusher to exist by virtue of the fact that they exist.
That's actually a good point.
That's a sticky wicket.
I still stick with my guns and say that these people, the users, shouldn't be criminalized. They should be instead helped.
Yeah, rehabilitation. I hate the whole system. It's like it sounds made up, like a kid made it up.
Yeah, it's archaic. It's like 50 years too old or more. Mm-hmm. No victim, no crime is a valid statement. This is pretty much the exact same question as last time. I kind of agree.
Said that. Yeah.
I can't.
That's awesome.
What do you say on this one?
No victim, no crime. Yeah, I would say that. I would say that's 100% true.
Yeah. I can't
Crimes
think of
are things that impact other people.
I can't think of a thing that of a crime that should exist that doesn't affect someone else besides the only example I could think of, which is drug use.
Yeah, because drug use kind of borders on mental health.
Yeah,
right.
It totally does.
That could make you mentally unhealthy.
Cause you
to go ahead.
There's a country in Europe that treats drug possession and usage as a mental illness instead, and they see significantly higher rehabilitation rates than countries who penalize people.
Get out.
Oh, yeah. I think it's Switzerland, if I'm not mistaken. I'm probably mistaken, but I think it's Switzerland.
Yeah. Instead of going, hey, here's a large metal box you have to try to smuggle drugs into. Now, they try to help. That's wild. Get out of here.
Oh, hey, our editor just responded.
No way.
I was asleep.
Don't tell him I'm here. Tell him I'm here, but I'm not interested.
Quote, I was asleep.
Oh, God. I'm a mess. Hold on.
It's James. Right. Okay. He responded 20 minutes ago. I was asleep, he says. Ooh. Okay. We'll make fun of him later for it. And I said editor. I meant producer. Ban medical and recreational drugs should remain illegal. Oh, It should be open for debate like all the time.
Yeah, should be constantly re-examined.
Yeah, researched and re-examined all the time.
What if we find the one and then we're high enough? That'd be fine.
When are we high enough? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Just start chemtrailing THC into the air.
What?
Don't quote me on that.
Read it again because it's phrased badly.
Okay, banned medical and recreational drugs should remain illegal.
No, absolutely not. Okay, they phrased that poorly. You think they're phrasing them badly on purpose to get a bottom line on this thing?
I think maybe it's sometimes harder to phrase questions.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like it's hard to phrase a question that there can't be any doubt, you know?
Yeah.
Police, fire, and ambulance services should be provided by the market. Huh?
No, don't privatize the police.
No.
Just fix the ones we have, please.
Yeah, that's absolutely stupid.
I don't want to see if Google can do the police better than the police do the police. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That is very scary to me.
No.
I don't want that to ever happen. Like, you have to choose whether you go to what about doctors, though? They kind of do that already.
Well, doctors it's not saying doctors. It's saying ambulance services, like specifically get you to the hospital.
Well, who can afford an ambulance?
Nobody.
Is a dated question. Yeah, no one calls an ambulance anymore.
Yeah, right.
You'll be in debt forever, and they won't let you get out.
If I'm bleeding out from the leg, you better hope I'm hobbling to that hospital. Don't call 911 for me.
Do not call 911. I will shoot you. Just kidding.
All right. Individuals who voluntarily assume risk of physical harm to themselves are a burden on society, and such behavior should be banned. Yes, because of the fact that people on disability are then a burden on society. So you are not allowed to hurt yourself because then I have to take care of you.
So you would say that Nancy Kerrigan was a burden on society, Donald?
I don't know who that is.
She's an ice skater. So if you're doing a sport that looks pretty but puts your body at risk,
oh,
are you a burden to society, sir?
Well, I mean, she wasn't specifically
she was
harming herself
with a pipe. Let's point of order here. That was a funny example. I was trying to be silly, but my point is, like, what about like football players? You know?
Assume risk is the word.
Yeah,
voluntarily.
They're assuming risk.
I was thinking like people who are shooting up heroin.
Oh no, I'm thinking about like sports players. Like, shouldn't you be allowed to play golf? Oh, Piston Jack got it. Thank you, sir.
He got it. Well, I mean, I'll have to say neutral because of the assume risk part. If they said people who are physically harming themselves voluntarily, just that. But assuming risk is different. Like, football players should be allowed.
Yeah. Football players get the pass. Thumbs down.
What do you say? I'm neutral.
I think thumbs all the way down. I mean, I used to skateboard, so if I'm a burden to society, I feel bad. I can't really put my thumb anywhere else in good conscience.
Fair enough. All right. Restitution should be paid to victims at the expense of the criminal or negligent wrongdoer. Yes.
Heck yeah!
If I shoot you in the stomach and you survive and you have $100,000 in hospital bills, yes, I'm paying for that.
Mm-hmm. Not next Tuesday, not after CSI, now. Pay my money. You shot me. The police also should, though.
You think so? Police officers who make mistakes.
Does that not specifically say that in the way the question's phrased?
I mean, criminal or negligent wrongdoer. If that became a thing, though, that you bet your butt there's gonna be malpractice insurance for police officers.
If that became a thing, okay, go to the next question. I can't even.
What were you gonna say?
I can't even. Well, it's definitely a thing. Brutality, right?
Right.
The police overreacting.
You think privatize insurance companies like they do for doctors? You think extending that police would be a terrible thing?
This is too smart of a question for me, Tom. You know.
Rights such as let's go ahead and blaze through like the next 20 without thinking about it because we're spending so much time on this and we're only a quarter of the way through. Okay, rights such as due process are the presumption of innocence Let me start that over. Rights such as due process and the presumption of innocence are relics of the past and only interfere with obtaining criminal convictions. Strongly disagree.
No!
I think it needs. Okay, next question.
Disagree all the way.
Juries should be able to judge not just the facts of a case, but also the justice of the law. What?
Yes. Hard yes.
What? Can you explain that one to me?
So, like, they should ask if the law is dumb as part of the trial.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like, sure, they did the illegal thing, but, I mean, you know, like little TPers.
Okay, so they should be able to say, yes,
Well,
but
this
it's
is
kind of
a
not that
dumb-
big of a deal.
This is a flawed question because the judge is that's the reason the judge exists.
Right. So
the jury decides whether or not it's in the law, and the judge interprets it.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the fence on that one. What about you?
Read it to me one more time, so I know. It's hard for me to remember.
Juries should be able to judge not just the facts of a case, but also the justice of law.
Yeah, hard yes.
Okay.
Hard yes. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm on the fence. Dispute resolution cannot be effectively provided by the market and thus require a government-controlled justice system.
Dispute resolution. You're talking about Judge Judy, right?
I think it's what is the market? Because does that just like mean the people when it says the market?
Great plan. Let's just breeze through this complicated political survey.
Right. Shit. Dispute resolution cannot be effectively provided by the market and thus require a government-controlled justice system. I think yes. Okay, private companies. Thank you. I think yes. Yeah. I think the government that this is a government service that is required. Yeah,
the government needs to be the dad in that situation. Because sometimes there's disputes between companies.
Right.
You can't have them on the fence.
Prisons as they currently exist should be abolished. Yes, privatized prison systems are a cancer on society and should not exist. I think government prison systems should exist instead of privatized ones.
Aw, you little right-wing lunatic. I didn't think you had it in you. That's awesome. Thanks, man. That means a lot to me.
Okay, cool. Let's breeze by that one. The only legitimate use of force is in defense of individual rights, life, liberty, and justly acquired property against aggression.
Yeah, you should have to determine your life's in danger before you kill them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
In some way, shape, or form, you should.
So self-defense is the only situation where you should use physical force.
Unless you're talking about like war times, like where they're marching.
I mean, they're defending liberty.
Who?
The people who are marching, defending our rights.
Yeah.
This applies to the state as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you a link to the survey at the end of the stream. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? I'd agree. I'd agree with that.
I'll agree with it. Yeah.
It applies to the state as well. So like a cop can't walk in and punch you because you said something stupid.
Yeah, exactly. So that's fine.
All people have the right to self-defense, and they may agree to be aided by any other individual or group.
These are getting off rails here.
I strongly
agree with that. Yeah, but I don't know why you asked.
Yeah. Individuals do not have the right to keep and bear. What? No, they absolutely have the right to keep and bear arms.
You kind of have to. Also, they're just a good tool.
People should be prosecuted for exercising their right to self-defense. No.
What?
Absolutely not. Private company.
Well, wait a minute though. You should have a judge and a jury check every time, right?
I mean, yeah. You shouldn't just shoot someone and bury him in your backyard and then take your word for him.
Bad cases of castle laws. I've heard of a horrible case of castle laws where this guy had teenagers breaking into his house, and he knew they were coming and set up an ambush and shot them down. And the only reason he got caught was because of the video that he was recording he put a video camera up and he's like standing over them like, got you now.
Oh. So
that's pretty bad. Is that what castle law is what you're talking about? Flambe, what's your name? My screen's blurry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's kind of scary to me. God, it's so.
Um, okay, so I strongly disagree that people should not be prosecuted. I think it should be like taken on a case by case basis, and they're taken. If they take it too far, then that's a different situation where they're actually being criminals and not actually exercising their rights.
Yeah, exactly. That's what all I'm saying is that. Well, I think someone should always look. Yeah.
So do you
So
somewhat
put mine to the right, put mine to the left. I mean, and see what happens
like here?
to my dot. Yeah.
That's where you want to be?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Private property owners should be free to set the rules regarding the presence of weapons on their own property. Yes.
The presence of weapons on their own property. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Make all the.
I think movie theaters have the right to say don't bring a gun to our theater, the same as I have the right to not go to their theater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
Government should restrict, register, and monitor the ownership, manufacture, and transfer of firearms and ammunition. Somewhat disagree. I think there should be a loose, publicly, or well, ooh. Think of this. What would it be like if you could go on the internet and see if your neighbor owns a rifle?
That would be odd.
So like that if you see that they don't, imagine like that. That's what any home invader would do. They'd first Google if they have a gun, and if they don't, or if they do, move on to the next house.
Well, this is kind of a different subject, but a home invader is going to just. I know I say that every podcast episode, but it's the myth of an armed intruder like being like, no, it's a gunfight. It rarely ever happens in real life.
I think that government should. I don't think it should be a private, or I don't think it should be public or government knowledge if I own a pistol or not.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's the thing, though. I think it kind of goes with the search and seizure stuff. Like, if you're driving around with your gun and you're not doing anything, there should be, and a policeman like sees the gun in your car, then he shouldn't be able to do anything about it. But
Right.
if you're acting a fool and it gives him reason to search your car, could it then become a crime? Like if you're acting strangely with a gun?
Well, I mean, there is legal ownership and illegal ownership. This question isn't really.
That doesn't say that, does it?
Yeah,
okay,
it doesn't. It's like this is just saying the government should keep track of the weapons you own, as well as prevent people from owning them if they want to. And I strongly disagree on that.
I would disagree too.
Catch me open carrying a rocket launcher. Hell yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of being able to trace that bullet to that gun, but I don't like the idea of deciding who gets to own them at all.
Yep.
So if I have to have my cake, I can't eat it too, I guess.
Respect for private property rights is fundamental to maintaining a free and prosperous society. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Private property is the reason we wake up in the morning.
Absolutely.
As Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I think it gets us out of bed.
Contracts to obtain, retain profit from, manage, or dispose of one's private property should be regulated by the government. No.
I hate that. That reminds me of like the government's institution of marriage versus church institution of marriage. Ooh. What does that make you think of? Like in cases of divorce, right?
In cases of what? You cut out.
In cases of divorce, that would be the government interfering in your contracts with your. I mean, that's kind of sexist, actually.
I don't think the government does anything until like there's a dispute, when they can't come to an agreement. I think that's where it comes in, and that goes to before when the market handling disputes versus the government.
Mm-hmm. So read it again to surmise.
Contracts to obtain, retain profit from, manage, or dispose of one's private property should be regulated by the government. Like if I wanted to sell a house, does the government need to be involved in that? I say no. But I think
because what if you sell someone a house that has it's not livable? There needs to be something. Teddy Roosevelt was a great Republican, but he knew there had to be some regulation.
I kind of agree. What do you say?
I would agree.
I kind of disagree, I should say. You agree all the way?
I would agree all the way. Let's see how far I go.
Private property owners have the right to control and enjoy their property so long as their choices do not harm nor infringe on the rights of others. Correct. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
The practices of eminent domain and civil asset forfeiture should be abolished. Correct. The government does not.
Yeah, you can't. The government shouldn't be able to say like, "Oh, you want to do?" No, well, you're doing it anyway. They shouldn't be able to do that.
No, absolutely not.
That's what that means in a nutshell, right?
Yep, exactly. In order to protect the poor from the rich, limits on profits, production mandates, and controls on prices of goods and services are necessary.
What? That's a large leap to make.
So that's a question about the free market. Should there not be a free market in certain cases? I think the free market should be there. Like, I think Apple has the right to sell $150 phones for $2,000.
Yeah.
And
what about like medical cares and stuff?
That's the thing. We already have. I didn't mean to agree. We already have antitrust and anti-monopoly laws, and I think those aren't enforced enough. I think those are the only laws we need on that, though. So I will stay neutral on that.
Okay.
What about
you? Me too. I'll just go neutral.
Okay.
It didn't specifically ask about it, so.
For voluntary dealings, parties should be free to trade with who they want on mutually agreeable terms. Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. I don't even like paying for my tag on my car.
Right.
But you should just hand me the money and I get to drive this car.
That's you're paying for like the public roads with that.
Aw. Look at Dawn over here. Lefty flipping on us.
Well, I don't think
roads. Care of those public roads. That's sweet.
Hey, if you don't do that, then all roads are toll roads, okay?
Okay.
Private landowners do not have an incentive to maintain natural resources, and as such, need to be regulated by the government. No, if they own if the land isn't publicly owned, then they could do whatever they want to it.
Yeah, I'm a Native American, so that stings pretty bad because the government like put Native Americans in Oklahoma until there was gas there. Natural gas.
It's asking though, like, if I owned a plot of land that has the rarest tree known to man, and there's only one of them ever, and if I chop it down, it's extinct. Should the government come and knock on my door and say, "Hey, take care of this tree, or we'll shoot you"? I think I have the right to cut down that tree. I won't, but I have the right to.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like I'd agree with that.
To prevent government pollution and misuse of natural resources, public land should be privatized.
Public land should be privatized? No, there's great stuff that they did.
Yeah, the freaking natural parks are amazing. I love those.
I love that our country did that. I love driving through and seeing the signs. It's like, hey, you can fish here.
Yeah.
You can hunt here.
The Osage Reserve is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Just outside of our town. Protecting the environment requires that resources like land, water, air, and wildlife be held in Let me start over. Protecting the environment requires that resources like land, water, air, and wildlife be held in common and private ownership restricted. Be held in common. See, this is some of the like government things that I do support. Like I agree with this entirely. It's weird to think about.
Again? It's hard to process.
It's saying things like water, air, and wildlife. The government or the public should own it. And restriction on private, like if someone wanted to buy the Osage Reserve, the government says no, you're not allowed to.
Yeah, I like that. I like that the government is a steward. We're stewards of the earth, in my belief system, and so we need to take good care of the earth, and that's a responsibility that we should, as a people, share. Which is when the government comes in handy, because we elect people that do what we want. Ideally,
exactly. Ideally, and. I ranted about this last time, but our representatives are not our representatives as much as they should be. Anywho, the profit motive stifles the innovations and behavioral changes required to protect the environment, require intervention in the market.
I'm dumb, so I don't understand that one.
So that I get this one. It's saying that because people want to make money, that influences people so much that the government has to say, hold on, you're destroying the world.
Oh, yes. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, I agree too. I think it's sad, but I think so. Like Joel
Osteen. I'm just ragging on Joel Osteen.
Yeah, right poor Joel Osteen.
Cry me a river.
There's a I'm actually realizing with this test how much I hate big business as much as I hate big government. Ooh.
Anything too big.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about that small government, baby. And
Yep.
that's not a euphemism for racism either. That's actually my beliefs. I feel like whenever you say small government, people are like, you're a Confederate.
Oh, right. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
For some reason. I'm like,
And-
no, I just think that I've said this too much on this podcast already, but
Seal be libertarian socialist. Not even close.
Socialist. All right, let's go. What do we got next?
Environmental advocates. Environmental. We're almost halfway.
Oh, great.
We got 45 minutes left, so I bet we could finish this though.
Okay.
Environmental advocates and social pressure are a more effective means of changing public behavior than government action.
No.
I don't think anybody cares what hippies have to say.
Yeah, that's like saying that just because remember how I was talking about the church taking care of poor people?
Mm-hmm.
That's like saying that's more effective than an actual government healthcare plan.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's not true at all.
I think
that will never be true.
I think that people deleting their Blizzard accounts because of their stances on the Chinese, the Hong Kong protests are legitimately effective because like they're losing a lot of revenue from that. They're not losing anywhere near what they would have lost if they would have stood with Hong Kong. But still, I think it's powerful. So
yeah.
I still disagree though. I think the government is significantly stronger in saying that you're polluting our ocean, stop it, than
those things
than other people do.
Social pressure is like the get out of jail free card. It's like, well, we should all just be better. We all fall short. It's like, no, don't do that.
What's the phrase for that? It's oh gosh. It's not identity politics, but it's somewhere along those lines. Anyway, I'll get to it later. Subsidies for energy production should be abolished. Huh?
What? Energy is a utility that we have to use. So no.
So
there's a reason that we subsidize it.
Yeah, I agree. Like if I put solar panels on my roof, I think I should pay less taxes.
Wait.
Huh?
Really? Is that what you take away from that?
Is that not what that means?
Like the subsidies, like coal isn't getting the business end of the tax stick, like how, for example, your diaper maker. You know what I mean?
Oh, so
there's certain industries that the government kind of handles kid gloves because they're important. They subsidize them
for energy production. No, I think energy production is. I think energy production is so important, and everybody uses it everywhere. It's too important to not be subsidized.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Energy pricing, allocation, and production are too important to be left to the market and should be controlled by the government. Ooh.
This speaks to our culture that when I'm hearing this test, I feel like this guy is trying to F with me, whoever's making this test, just because we're in such a politically charged climate that hearing these sentences, I'm like triggered. I'm like, what are you getting at? Who do you work for? I can't process the information.
I can't agree or disagree on this because if the government is to start saying too crazy stuff versus big light bulb up there, then it's hard to say.
Read it again for me.
Energy pricing, allocation, and production are too important and should be left to the market, or too important to be left to the market and should be controlled by the government.
Yeah, because the market will work it out eventually, but during that interim, when they're trying to work it out, innocent people don't have power.
Ooh. So what do you think?
Which is what you have to think about. That's why I don't think that private medicine is good, is because there's these little people that are actually getting messed up by it while they're figuring out. Like, sure, a market is going to show you who's the best over the long period of time. Like, hey, look, this hospital had a bunch of accidents. Ours doesn't. Come to us. That hospital will live, and the one that has a bunch of accidents will get shut down, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Market.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not to talk about this a little bit more. Hospitals aren't at fault. It's the pharmaceutical companies and the people who sell medical equipment.
Yeah, get them, Don.
Anywho, so what's your stance on this one?
Yeah, put me right there.
Strongly agree.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. People who think they are entitled to keep what they earn are merely being selfish and should be forced to pay their fair share.
What? Well, I do not like how that's phrased at all.
Me neither. Because I think that if I pay taxes, you should pay taxes too. However, I think that we're taxed too much and our taxes are used on the wrong things and we're paying too much taxes. So I'm going to not even touch that one and hit the next button.
Yeah.
Taxation is the price we pay for civilization is a valid statement. To an extent, I'll somewhat agree. I think too much taxation is bad.
I remember when I was in kindergarten and I was telling people that my parents were going to vote for George Bush. And this girl told me that they were not, and I was wrong. And I said, but the other guy wants more taxes. And she said, do you know what taxes are for? They're for our roads and our streets and our cities. And my mind was blown. I had no idea. And still kind of the way that I feel about it is like, oh man, I want to give money, but I want to see where it's going.
Don't forget our 6-digit government salaries in DC.
Let's talk about those guys' taxes. You know, that would be the fair share question. I'm glad you skipped that one, because that would be.
So what's your stance on here? I somewhat agree. I think we need taxes, just not as much as we currently pay.
I'm gonna go with all the way agree.
Okay.
Just throw down a little bit and help out.
Government budgets should be balanced by curbing expenditure and not by raising taxes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Test.
Yeah, that's basically exactly what we said in the last question.
Uh-huh.
I've been breaking it. Hold on.
Huh?
Thank you.
Oh my God, what have you done?
Thank you. See, this is why we need a producer. Yes. Okay. I fixed it. We're good. People should be free to choose which products and services they wish to pay. By which products and services they wish to purchase, and not be forced to pay for something against their will. Yes. This is my problem with socialism, is that you're forced to pay for their internet, you're forced to pay for their healthcare, and you don't get a choice. I spit on my boom.
Well,
my pop filter.
Hold on. Read it to me, because the wording is always important.
See, this is always my argument when you say we should get free healthcare, right? People should be free to choose which products and services they wish to purchase and not be forced to pay for something against their will.
Absolutely. So shouldn't there be an option that, like, a default option?
What do you mean absolutely? 20 minutes ago, you said you want to pay for their internet because it's only pennies.
I think we're saying the same thing, and this is why it's so funny to me. We're always like so close to agreeing, but there's this so you're saying that you should be able to choose what you buy. So there should be an option for people that don't want any of the really expensive, borderline criminal private stuff over here, right?
Yeah.
Where's that going to come from except from the government?
What do you mean the government?
If it's all politician, then who's going to be the guy that's like, okay, we're just here to help people? Besides the government. That's what I'm wondering. That's my question I pose to you. Is that way off base?
I think you should be able to opt out for government services.
Be able to opt out, like, oh no, thank you.
Yeah, like, for instance, I could say, I don't if my house catches on fire, I don't want to be eligible for 911. So take that $5 off of my weekly paycheck.
So you're thinking that it's only for you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so they don't have to come to my house, therefore it's less expensive for them, therefore I don't have to pay for it.
Well, what about if your neighbor's house catches your house on fire? Wouldn't you have been glad to pay for the firemen that put out their house to put it out on their own? I know that you're a magical firefighter with, like, ninja kick attack moves. You'll be able to dab those fires in the face, but what about the poor Joe Schmo down the street? You know? Don't you think that he has the right to not burn down?
All right. Watch this. You see my mouse right here?
Yeah.
This is me with my foot in my mouth. All right. You got me.
Hey, put mine on there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got me. Okay, free market banking with competition among banks and depository institutions of all types is preferable to a system controlled by a system bank. Ooh.
What?
I don't know how to answer that one. I don't understand it enough. Free market banking versus central bank.
Free market banking is not in America right now.
Right.
Because we have banks that are too big to fail.
Ooh.
So is this being more, because whatever we're doing with banking right now, it's bad, but I don't want to make it worse. So I'm kind of trying to really tread lightly.
I'm just gonna be on the fence on that one.
Yeah, me too.
Profits and losses should be socialized. Huh? No.
What? Like we all gain and we all lose at the same time?
Right.
Maybe for healthcare. Maybe.
Who's paying for that?
the defense budget. I'm sorry.
Okay, are you going this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna strongly disagree.
Oh, strongly disagree. Okay.
I really do.
But you say except for healthcare though.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Put me on that bubble. Dang it.
Okay. Individuals who engage in voluntary exchange should be free to use as money. What? Individuals who engage in voluntary exchange should be free to use as money any mutually agreeable commodity. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it's saying they're able to barter.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, that's true.
I'll give you a tree for my goat.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's like human.
Yeah, it's always been.
I'm proud.
I'll give you my 9mm for your daughter's class photo. That's okay. That got creepy.
What the?
Red flag.
Yeah.
Inflationary monetary policies and legal tender laws should be abolished.
No, that's really important. We've had that nailed down for years.
What do you mean?
Right?
I don't know. I don't know the.
The dollar has been about $1 my entire life.
No, it hasn't. It's tripled since you were born.
What are you talking about? Are you sure?
Yes.
Why am I paying since I was born? Oh yeah, so soda from a machine used to be 50 cents.
Exactly.
Oh my god. Oh geez, these laws, they need to be abolished.
I don't know what the question is asking. And I don't know what inflationary monetary policies are. And I don't know what legal tender laws are.
I think they're policies to stop inflation, right?
You'd think so, but
yeah, I'm going to stay on the fence about it.
I don't know.
In the interest of time.
Money should be abolished. No, I think money's good.
No, I love money.
Yeah, being able to go to the ATM and buy a goat is great. Legal trader.
Hit the nail on the head.
Legal tender means exchange in any mutual item or service. I don't think that explains the question though.
Hey, this guy should be our producer.
We'll get with you after the stream.
I like this guy.
Individuals have the right to form corporations, cooperatives, and in other types of entities based on voluntary association. Sure. Yeah. I don't think the government should stop people from saying they want to start a stream called Reviving Discourse. Yeah. Private ownership of the means of production should be abolished. No! Do not let the government seize the means of production.
The means of production. Yeah. Don't do that.
All right. Suicides and bailouts. Subsidies. Freudian slip there. Subsidies and bailouts to business labor.
Why would you say that? Why would you say Freudian slip? Okay, just for point of order, this is a little bit off topic. No one in history has ever gone Freudian slip and made the social situation better.
I made it worse on purpose. Stop analyzing me. Subsidies and bailouts to business, labor, and other special interests should be abolished.
No! For no reason. I don't understand the question.
I don't understand the question either. Skip. 30 minutes left. Public entities should be able to compete with private enterprise. Yes.
Yeah. I love that. Wait, no, because then you have private police. This is hard. I'm sweating.
I somewhat agree. What do you say?
I'm gonna disagree all the way because that's the whole point of the public entity.
Okay.
There's no competition. We're all in it together.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Best.
Government corporations competing with private.
Yeah. So we're on the right track there. Yeah.
Employment and compensation agreements between employers and employees are private and should not be encumbered by social engineering. Yeah.
Social engineering. Why'd you say it like that? Questionnaire.
In Canada, the CBC competes with other private news corporations. Interesting. I think it should be allowed some ways, but not others. I think I said that. Employment and compensation agreements between employers and employees are private and should not be encumbered by social engineering. What is social engineering?
What? There should be laws that say like you differently because of who they are.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I somewhat agree.
I agree wholeheartedly because you can't. I mean, this is that slippery slope again. It sounds dumb and it keeps coming up, but it's because it's true. It's a facet of our life that once you may open the door. Go ahead.
Private employers and employees should be required by law to bargain with each other through a labor union. No, I don't think they should be forced to.
Dude, those labor union guys are sketchy. This is just a personal anecdote. When I was working at Food Pyramid, they came and tried to get me to sign the papers. I acted like I was interested. They drove by my house 3 times.
Jeez, there's a labor union for Food Pyramid?
They knocked on my door 2 times. They drove by my house once, and then they drove by again. I turned them away. They drove by again with his like supervisor or whatever the heck. And he's like, "No, man, you really want to join this?" Like, now I don't. I don't even know what they're about. I don't know, and I don't have enough brain power. But
I have a friend who at one point in time he was driving around, and for his work as a contractor to build mills, like to hold water, like big industrial sized ones. And he said he went to New York, I believe it was, and the place he was contracting with was a union area, and he got paid like triple what he normally gets paid. Oh, it's like because the union demands it from the business. So like, it's interesting to say, like, it's the same thing with everything. Once it gets too big, they start demanding too much, and then business suffers because of that. But
yeah,
the opposite is true. If you don't have a union, then your employer can do whatever they want. So it's kind of a hit or miss kind of thing. But I don't think they should be required to. No. Membership in a labor union should be requirement for obtaining employment. Same thing. No. You shouldn't be required to join the union.
No, don't do that.
Compulsory arbitration and obligations to bargain are necessary to ensure that bosses do not exploit their workers. Yes, that's saying that in the heat of the moment, you can walk up to your boss and say, "Hey, I don't like that you're making me work 20 extra hours of overtime, and I need this to stop." I think that's what it's saying.
Read it again.
Compulsory arbitration and obligations to bargain are necessary to ensure that bosses do not exploit their workers. Like making bosses be forced to listen to you.
Yeah, that's important.
I think that's what it's saying, at least.
Yeah.
That's what I take. Provision of education should be socialized and made available free of charge.
Yeah. That would it's really cheap. Just give them the internet. They'll be educated short. Fine. This is my same stance.
I don't think so, because have you seen Twitter?
Talk about a hot take. What?
I somewhat agree. I think that maybe like it should be discussed, but I don't think we're there yet because of the way the education system is currently structured.
Yeah, I mean, education system is pretty fault ridden. There's a great book. I can't remember the author's name.
So
but he talks about how our education system is like has its roots in like Nazi Germany's.
Oh,
like yeah,
okay.
Yeah, like that. Like I don't know enough to talk about it. Obviously,
okay.
It's embarrassing.
Provision of where do you fall on this one? Should be made available. You strongly agree? I think.
Yeah, hell yeah. Give them education. Just let them educate, and they'll make us.
Education is best provided by the free market, achieving greater quality, accountability, and efficiency with more diversity of choice. So,
No,
I don't think
we
so.
tried this with charter schools,
And
private schools.
I think colleges are becoming septic with how much they're charging. Is that specifically directed towards college levels since pre-K to 12 is already free? Let me relook at that question real quick. Provision of education should be socialized and made available free of charge. I'm assuming it means all education, including higher education. So that's where I didn't say this, but that's where I'm on the fence.
That's what I assumed.
I think base education should be free, but higher education should be not. Like that is okay to be privatized because
I think that's asking for trouble. I think that makes a caste system.
Sort of. I think that it should be regulated. Like I don't think we have to work 3,000 hours of minimum wage in order to go to 4 years worth of college at private at a
Also, private colleges have the ability to discriminate more. I think.
Yeah,
I would say.
I think so too. I think they're
allowed to make these calls that the government doesn't have. You can't like. There were things that would get you kicked out of the school I went to, Oklahoma Westland, that wouldn't get you kicked out of a normal school.
Oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. So
if you privatize it, it makes it even more of a caste system.
I think there needs to be checks and balances with it that there aren't, and I think that tuition is the number one cause, or is the number one thing we need to look into before anything else. But that's another topic. Education is best provided by the free market, achieving greater quality, accountability, and efficiency with more diversity of choice. I somewhat disagree based on my last point.
I would say no. I would go all the way.
The education of children is the financial responsibility of parents or guardians, not the government. Same thing. I think that base education should be treated by the government. Then everything above that should be private.
The government has a vested interest in having smart civilians. What's the word? Patrons?
People.
I don't know. Yeah, smart people. Smart folks.
You strongly disagree with that, though, right?
Yeah, I strongly disagree with that.
Health insurance companies exploit the sick and dying to make a profit and therefore should be regulated by the government!
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
Insurance is a big problem.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In our country.
Individuals
Everyone is always... Have you noticed how everyone's always talking about it?
About healthcare?
In America? About their health insurance or their other insurances?
It's like a big problem.
Yeah.
Wow. Surprise. Shocker. Individuals should be free to determine the level of health insurance they want, if any. Yes. I don't think what do you mean, yeah? You support free health, you support socialized healthcare. What do you mean, yeah?
I didn't hear the question. You caught me.
Individuals should be free to determine the level of health insurance they want, if any. If I'm understanding you correct, you think people should be forced to have health insurance?
I think that there should be a bottom line amount of insurance that you're like entitled to.
So you think, if I'm understanding you correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, the way I feel about education, you feel about healthcare.
Huh?
Where how I think about education, where the government should be required for a minimum, and then any above that should be you pay for. You feel that same way with healthcare.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
interesting. So
thank you for helping me clarify that.
So, where you would be neutral on this one, then, right?
I would have to be. Yeah, if I'm sticking to my guns. Tuckfard.
Hi, Tuckfard. Thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Any questions are always appreciated. Healthcare should be provided by the free market.
Take questions at the end too, so feel free to interrupt the test with questions.
Are you okay with going over 20 minutes, Alex? Is that okay with you?
If there's questions, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That's fine.
Healthcare should be provided by the free market.
I don't think it's working.
I think it is with how employers do it. Like my insurance through my employer that I have, I think is really good, and I like the way it works. And I think that employers should be responsible for the healthcare of their employees to an extent, like how it is set up right now.
That would be nice. That would be nice if the government intervened in that way. I like how you said that. But if they just made it so wherever you work, you have to have a minimum amount of healthcare, that would be awesome.
I kind of like that.
That would kill small businesses, though.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Forget mom
That
and
would
pop
kill
stores.
small businesses. So you wouldn't like that. I know you.
I think like if a corporation, it's hard to say. I'm gonna say on the fence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Suicide and euthanasia should be illegal. That's a loaded question. I don't think. Well, I mean, if you kill yourself, then you're not financially responsible for anything. Or, do people have the right to stop living? It's hard to say.
I think so.
You think so?
I think that people. I think I've seen people in pain before, and it's not good. And I think that there's been cases where people choose it.
Actually, Obamacare was repealed this year. So you are not responsible for paying a penalty anymore, as of 2019. Suicide and euthanasia. I need to think about it way more than to answer it on this, and I don't want to spend the time on it right now.
Yeah.
Provision of healthcare should be socialized and made available free of charge.
Yes. It's gonna land my dot on the other side of the line now. It's getting down to the brass tacks.
We already know my answer.
Yeah.
Not all individuals will take responsibility for planning their retirement. Therefore, an age pension should be provided.
That's a magical word, retirement, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's like saying people can't be smart enough to manage their own funds after they stop working.
Well, because when you get old, you can't, right now, which is another thing we were going to talk about in this podcast, which we haven't been able to. But if you could live forever, but we can't live forever, and our brains deteriorate as we get older.
Yeah,
and
there's
marked effects of age.
We're saving that topic for the next one. Absolutely,
yeah, we'll save that.
Age pension should be provided by who? This question isn't answering.
Where's that money coming from? Yeah, that's Donald's question.
I can't comment on that because it doesn't say where it's coming from.
Yeah.
All right. So socialized welfare programs should be phased out and replaced with a private voluntary system based on insurance, charity, and mutual aid. I can't answer that one because I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, skip this.
skip this. Most people will not voluntarily help the poor. Therefore, it is incumbent on the government to provide welfare services as to combat poverty. I think our welfare services are too what's the word? People rely on them too much. I think they're too powerful. So I somewhat disagree. However, I think that there should be some there in case of hardships. I don't think
charities over government welfare we got in the comment section. I think that was for that last one.
Isn't that Medicare currently money for all at a senior level? Oof. Sort of. Yes, it is. I think so.
Yeah, well, I remember when I was working for a bank and Medicare was getting cut, like their checks weren't as big as they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of really sad old people on the phone, and I felt personally bad about it.
Yeah, I can understand.
I remember that happening vividly, and I don't want to say like, well, I'm sorry, but my money. But at the same time, it's hard. It's so hard to just justify, like, you know.
We really just need a hard go down and see what we're paying our taxes for, and then go along with that and find out where we are.
Yeah, we need to actually see it, and people need to record our reactions in our faces so we can't lie to ourselves later either.
All right, we're almost done with this.
Really?
I somewhat we have about a fifth of the way to go. I somewhat disagree. What do you say?
One more time.
Most people will not voluntarily help the poor. Therefore, it is incumbent on the government to provide welfare services as to combat poverty. So, like, what welfare?
Put me one dot to the left.
One dot to the left. Yeah. Okay, we're opposite on that one. Charity and civil society will weaken if the government does not have the power to direct such activity.
Direct such activity? Yeah, I mean, the government needs to have a little bit of power to be able to accomplish tasks. because we've tried to see what charities can do. Me and you both talked about that. It's nice that the church does that kind of stuff, but it's really it's like a drop in the bucket,
Right.
and that's because they don't have big government funding.
I think the government should have some rights to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you strongly agree, or someone agree?
I strongly agree.
In order to preserve global stability, the government needs to embrace foreign political alliances and act as a policeman for the world.
Well, that's two different things, questionnaire.
In order to preserve global stability, the government needs to embrace foreign political alliances and act as a policeman for the world.
I would say I would be right in the middle because I agree with the first part. That's kind of a pansy. That's kind of a pansy way out.
The way this question is asking it, it's saying take both or take neither.
Yeah.
So what do you say?
I would have to say that
would you take both or take neither?
I have to take both. I have to.
I don't know enough about it.
If there's a way that we can actually help, is the problem that I have with it.
Oh, right.
If we're over there just like whooping butts and taking names for some other purpose other than helping people, like we usually are sometimes, maybe, right?
Yeah,
I'm just saying there's corruption inherent in it.
Like
but that doesn't change my stance.
A lot of political talk is broad brushing. Prime example is Syria currently. Leaving our stuff there. We don't have time to, but we will.
Darn it.
Yeah, it's hard. We're actually on a time limit, and we have to rush through it, and it's hard. Service in the military should be compulsory. So that's
the way it is in South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool. I think it's great for discipline.
I don't think there should be a draft. Unless, I think it should only be in extreme circumstances where we're going to be invaded and taken over if we don't.
As soon as you said the word draft, my hands started sweating, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's what that means. It's not just fun training at band camp." Yeah.
Service in the compulsory, meaning you should be allowed to choose whether or not to.
Huh.
Wait, is that what it's saying? Is that what compulsory means?
No, compulsory is you don't get to choose. That's the opposite.
Okay. North Korea, he says.
No, South Koreans too. They all have to go to the They all have to go to military.
I see.
They have to be part. They have to do their 4 years or whatever.
So, I think in only extreme cases. So I'll somewhat agree, and you strongly agree that everybody should draft.
Yeah.
Okay. Rights are not inalienable and can be suspended during times of war. Ugh. Rights are inalienable and can never be suspended, period. Is what I say.
Yeah, don't suspend my rights just because it's different now. Yep. People are getting shot. That means I'm less of a person? No.
Intelligence agencies should be obstructed from preserving security if they are subjected to oversight and transparency. What? Intelligence agencies would be obstructed from preserving security if they were required to be transparent. I see. Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, for instance, if the CIA is transparent about their actions towards certain groups, I think there should be a minimum transparency, saying that they're investigating this group of people. However, saying what they're doing exactly to investigate them is something else entirely. So I will somewhat agree.
Yeah. Yeah, the transparency.
We got a lot of forehead while you were looking into that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to look back at it. It's just weirdly phrased. I would say that I think it might be more effective to be more transparent.
You think so?
In some ways, I could argue that if you give me 2 minutes. I mean, I think I could. Let me think. So Huawei phones, right? The government didn't want us to use Huawei phones, right?
Well, I don't know what that is.
The Chinese phone manufacturer.
Oh, okay, go on.
You don't know about that?
No.
Does that not scan?
I don't know it.
Okay.
A smarter person might.
Okay. Well, there was a thing where the government did the phones from those makers in China.
Mm-hmm.
And the big takeaway that I got from it is they wouldn't tell me why they said it was a security risk, but didn't tell me exactly how. So I think if you really show people the details of like, hey, this is what we're fighting against, and this is what they're seeing right now.
Yeah,
that might help them. Like, yeah, let's get some funding to those guys. Otherwise,
okay. So where do you fall on this then?
I agree. I would agree. Just go.
Government should not use secret classifications to keep the public information that it should have. Somewhat agree. Exactly the same as the last question.
I'm on the fence.
Foreign policy should seek to keep a nation in a position of strength relative to other nations.
What?
Foreign policy should seek to keep a nation in a position of strength relative to other nations. I don't know what that's asking.
Strength, yeah, that's kind of fascist.
It's saying a nation, right? So, like, should the United States keep a nation being Canada? That's worded dumb.
Foreign policy should not be power revolving around. Foreign policy should be cooperation revolving around. Am I right?
I don't know enough to answer.
I would disagree with that. I'm just gonna disagree.
Foreign policy should emphasize defense against attack from abroad and enhance the likelihood of peace by avoiding foreign entanglements. I'll agree with that. I can't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Foreign intervention, including military and economic aid, are necessary for preserving the security of the nation. Yes. I think that action, like inhumane actions, should be looked at by other governments. Like, for instance, if Donald Trump started shooting illegal Mexicans in the streets, I think that Canada should come down and smack us for it. But that's just like an abhorrent, extreme example.
Like we would expect there to be help if our government looked bad, just like we would expect to help other countries if their government looked bad.
It's tyrannical government stopping other tyrannical government. I somewhat agree.
Yeah, I all the way agree.
Okay. All people have the right to resist.
Weird.
I like this one. All people have the right to resist tyranny and defend themselves and their rights.
Yay, America. Nope.
Oh, what was that? Sorry. That's okay. All right. In Venezuela is an example of that. Yeah, absolutely. With how there should be intervention. And, impediments to free trade should be abolished. Sort of. I think in some situations yes, in others no. So I will stay neutral.
I would say that your pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah,
how do you think they would answer that question?
That's what I'm talking about. Like in some situations, I think free trade should be looked into heavily because I believe they're violating antitrust laws. But
don't even mess with it. Just go government to government, trading straight money for pills, and then give them to people as they need them. That's really important.
So I'm on the fence on that one because yes, sometimes no others. What do you think?
I'm all the way against it, right? Read it again. How was it phrased?
Impediments to free trade should be abolished.
Impediments. This is like a double negative.
So it's saying, should we get rid of anything? Should free trade be allowed? Period. No laws against it is what it's saying.
No, don't allow free trade.
No free trade. Okay.
No free trade.
No free trade.
Put that on my gravestone.
Political freedom and escape from tyranny demand that individuals not be unreasonably constrained.
1 second.
Oh.
I'm back.
Political freedom and escape from tyranny demand that individuals not be unreasonably constrained in the crossing of borders.
Here, I have an interesting one if we have a little time. So I think that in terms of illegal immigrants, you should be innocent until proven guilty.
Okay.
Which means that I'm exaggerating this. So take this with a grain of salt. But I'm saying that until you actually do a crime, they don't even check.
You did it. You've already done a crime.
No, the different crimes though. See, I told you I was exaggerating a lot. This isn't going to go well for me.
Okay, okay. So let's say I'll take your, I'll bite. Go on.
If you are an illegal immigrant and you have your license and you're driving a car, you shouldn't just be deported just because you're an illegal immigrant. If you're driving without a license and you're a legal immigrant, then they're like, okay, now this kicks in where you become a burden to us. Goodbye, sir. And they get you out after you do something bad.
What?
I told you it's hard. I don't know how to defend this very well.
Well, I mean, there's people with that same point of view where they think that immigration shouldn't be an issue. Period. Like exactly what you're saying. Until they do something wrong, they're just like you and me. Where I heavily disagree on that. If you're not a legal immigrant, then what are you doing? Why are you here? And it's not the same thing as like, so someone was in my backyard and I was wanting and I say, hey, get out of my backyard, right? Or is it?
Yeah.
Is it the exact same thing?
Well, looks around meaningfully. No, because the whole world's not your backyard. Let me check. Yeah, the world is still the world. This just in. The world is not Donald's backyard.
All right, well, that's a conversation. Okay, we're adding that to the tab, illegal immigration for next time. Okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
So what do you fall on this one? I don't know enough about this particular question.
Me neither. Can you leave it on there? Leave it in the middle.
Yep. Trade should be regulated by the government. I'm in the middle because of the same question I answered before.
Yeah, that's the same question already. Put me 1 dot to the left on the test.
Economic freedom demands the unrestricted movement of human as well as financial capital across national borders. No. If you're making $1 million bajillion of my money and then you're going to China with it, I think that's kind of a problem. I think there should be some levies there.
Read the question again.
Economic freedom demands the unrestricted movement of human as well as financial capital across national borders. No. If I want to take my money and leave, then it's never going to see America again, and I think that's an issue with the economy.
Yeah, that's bad.
With a much smaller scale, if you buy something online with money you made from your town, that money's coming out of your town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
What do you say on it?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay.
I'm all the way there.
All people are born with an inherent right to their life, liberty, and property. Yes, we've already answered this question.
Yes, I like that question.
Some rights can impose an obligation upon others to fulfill that right.
Like you can make me help you get your rights. Like having pay some taxes for my medical stuff. Right? Is that what it's saying?
What was that?
Yeah. Well, it's
something exploding.
Interesting.
Some rights can impose an obligation to others to fulfill their right.
Like medical care. I would say yes. I'm gonna go ahead and go yes. Just put me on the left, dang you. You stupid test. Oh.
Looks like you're a lefty.
I'm a lefty, okay?
You're a lefty.
I'm a lefty. No.
Wow. I expected to be way farther on the right by now. Government should neither deny nor abridge human rights based upon biological characteristics or personal preferences.
Should not, right?
Government should neither deny nor abridge human rights based upon biological characteristics. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Members of private organizations can set standards of association, and individuals are free to respond with ostracism or boycotts.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
If you don't like what they're doing, don't buy their stuff.
Hold on, we'll go back to that. Government should neither deny nor abridge human rights based upon biological characteristics or personal preferences. Yeah, you're right, Romwin. Pedophilic argument comes back. Ooh. I still agree. I don't think their preference to do it should be cared about. I think their action of doing it should be. That's my opinion.
How many questions do we have left? We've only got like 60 seconds.
Well, we're staying over 20 minutes, right?
I can't actually.
Shit.
I have people at my doors right now. I'm so sorry.
We'll just go ahead and skip the last. The state should be abolished. I'll say no. I think we need. What do you say?
Okay. I say no. Don't abolish it. I'm just living here.
Okay. You are -6 economic, -53 cultural. I am -60 culture. What? Why are we both liberals?
We're both liberal.
What?
You're a liberal.
I'm a liberal.
You punk. Wait, what does mine say? Tell me the numbers again.
-6 economic, -53 cultural is yours.
What does that mean for me, the consumer?
You're a liberal?
I'm a liberal. No.
Libtards unfollowing.
All right. Well, hey, Don, thanks for having me on so much, by the way.
Okay. Sorry we ran so far over.
No, we didn't run that far over. It's okay. I just got to go. We got situations.
Bye-bye.
See you guys. Thanks for coming, everybody.
I will close out this one solo. Get out of here.
I'll leave the call here.
Okay. Uh-oh. We don't want that. Here you get my paint window until I fix OBS real quick. Oh, now you're seeing my OBS window. Boop. Nope, that's mine. Oh god. Oh god. Boom. Okay, we're good. Woo. Anywho, where are we? Here's chat. Okay. Yeah, unprofessional stream. Blah, 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 blah. Cool. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys for coming. No, I wish we had a couple more minutes to answer questions or not. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm very, very, very happy with how active the chat was, and I know Alex is too. Hopefully next week we have a producer, so that we can have someone fill in this stuff instead of taking 10 minutes to figure out how to do something, like make 2 windows appear on one screen. Anywho, again, thank you for coming by. We do this every week. We'll be back again next week at 6 o'clock. If you have any recommendations for us, let me know. All of you have personal channels to talk to me. So, I will see you guys next week. Bye.